Hello, my name is Kate, and if you're watching this, welcome to my channel. So recently I got married, yay! And I made this video that you're about to watch beforehand, but I've given it a little bit of an update with some tips and tricks so that you can learn from my mistakes. I've got a list of materials that you'll need, the whole shebang, as well as how it looks now that it's on my wall and now that it's been sealed. Traditionally at weddings there is this paper book that your guests sign when they get to your ceremony. It's typically placed at an entranceway of the venue. And since Matthew and I had a pretty untraditional wedding, we had a Lord of the Rings themed wedding, we thought that this was more us than a traditional guest book that would most likely end up in a closet somewhere that we would never look at. So what you're going to need for this project is the sign that you're actually going to use during the project, a sander to sand down that piece of wood, wood stain, the acrylic paint that you're going to want to do your design with, and paint brushes. You'll need paint pens for your guests to sign, and a clear coat and a sealant to put on afterwards. The biggest thing to remember when you're sanding is to make sure you get it as smooth as possible. I did not sand mine down enough, and so mine was still pretty rough. You're also going to want to cover any surfaces that you do this on, and when you stain, you want to do it outside. This is the wood finish that I used and the color that I used on all of my signs. So like I said, just make sure you do it outside. Make sure you wear gloves. It will also stain your hands. And I fast forwarded through this part, but basically you want to give it a good coating. If it's a wood like pine, it's probably going to need a second coating. Mine did. That pine will just absorb all of that stain. So you want to make sure it's completely dry before you start painting on it, so you might want to let it sit overnight. Also, any brushes or anything like that that you use during this project are most likely going to be ruined once you use it for stain. It's hard to use it for anything else. When you clean that, you want to clean that outside. Don't clean it in your sink inside. Spare yourself that, mess. Make sure you use hot water and Dawn dish soap. That seemed to do the trick for me, and it got it off of my hands, off of my brush, So I waited a full 24 hours for this thing to dry. I ended up printing out the last name that I wanted to put on this, and so I cut it out and I used it as a reference. I used white charcoal pencil and a bowl to trace my circle. I had to erase it and go back, you'll see that later. And sorry you can see the back of my head while I was doing this. But I basically freehanded it while using it, that font as a reference, and I ended up filling it in with acrylic paint. Yeah, you can see I had to redraw my circle. And my Matthew and Caitlin at the bottom are still a little wonky, even to this day. I never went back and fixed it, but you know what? I think it gives it a little bit of character. So I used white acrylic paint, and this did take forever. I watched the whole entire second Hobbit movie on my laptop while I was doing this. So make sure you have plenty of time. Don't feel discouraged. It's gonna look wonderful. So yeah, this is what it looked like after I finished that initial design. I still, for it to be finished, I had to get everybody to sign it, seal it, and put it on my wall. Yeah, and this is what it looked like. This is it hanging on my wall right now, next to some, wedding pictures of Matthew and I. Yeah, all of our guests signed it. The pins started to wear out towards the end, so there are some that are lighter than others. Sometimes the pins ran, pins like that tend to, but it was awesome. Those are those signatures, and there are people that were at my wedding that are no longer with me, and now I have a piece of them. When you seal this bad boy, you just want to make sure you give it at least 2 coats of clear coat or sealant. I used polyurethane. I did 2 coats of it and just hung it up on my wall, and I think it looks awesome, and people always tell me how awesome it looks, so yeah. If you have any questions, make sure you post them down in the comment section below. I try to respond to all of my comments. Thank you so much for watching this video. I post content here once a week, so if you like what you see, make sure you like this video, subscribe to my channel, and thanks for joining in the adventure. Be kind to one another, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!